Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Games Industry Executive Summary. I am once again Dave. I'm always Dave, as I was last time and was before. Casey is hawking video games across the world, letting people see all the incredible stuff he's been doing. So I'm running the show right now. My typical apologies for my general lack of being able to click on things at the right time due to being distracted by my own cleverness. With me, I have Manu Rosier, the analyst. How you doing, Manu?
Good, good. Quite busy, but yeah, we need to find time to talk about video games.
Exactly. If we don't find time to talk about video games, then we might as well be doing a profession that pays us.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you playing? What's happening?
So, so two things. I've kind of slowed down playing Arc Raiders. I feel like as a solo player, it's becoming a bit too repetitive for me. So I jumped in a few weeks after release. So I already had all the content that was released between the release and the moment I started playing. So I could really go through all the different locations and the missions and everything. So that kept me quite busy. But right now there are only so many missions left. A bit frustrating, and yeah, it feels right now really more like a farming game than an adventure game where you have missions and things like that. So I'm more sensitive to um, doing tasks rather than just hoarding content, hoarding items and things like that. So I've been slowing down, and I don't know. I'm just monitoring, and I know things continue to happen. There is the second expedition somewhere in February, but I found something else to play, and I've started Cairn, so the climbing game, and it's already a love and hate relationship with that game because there is at this so it's very rewarding and very frustrating at the same time because it feels like the way you control the character can make it look very clumsy because you're basically controlling every one arm at one end at a time, one foot at a time, and just moving one after the other. Sometimes it's a bit frustrating, maybe because I don't understand the full mechanics of the power ups and the way to grasp and to stay in balance and things like that. And you only have so many checkpoints, which means that if you kind of you die, you have to restart from a checkpoint. And sometimes it means restarting a whole climbing, and yeah, and
So
it
how long did
feels a
that?
bit like Fall Guys sometimes in the way the character is animated. So, but it's very rewarding where you end up at the top of a wall. That's also the thing, and there is a story. It's not just climbing because there have been previous climbing games before. There is a story, and it's very give you a lot of evasion from daily life. You're in the mountains, so that part is really cool. The escapism is great.
Yeah, cool. It sounds
Escapism,
a little. The impression I've got is that the narrative function is sort of like Stardew Valley-ish. That it's all about.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can cook. You can do a bivouac and then cook your stuff. It's a bit like Final Fantasy, or no, like Monster Hunter when you prepare your fights by cooking some power ups.
Yeah.
It's a bit
Well, I
similar
want, I
here.
want to eat Monster Hunter food so much. They do such a good job.
Yeah.
I feel like Monster Hunter, Final Fantasy,
Oh,
what was it? 15? 15?
15 is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. The cup noodles quest, man. Who doesn't love the cup noodles quest? Just, I think it might be one of the most effective pieces of advertisement I have ever seen.
Yeah.
I just
Exactly.
want to eat cup noodles when I think about that.
Yeah, yeah, that's the idea. I think we read something back then about Monster Hunter why that some dish became super popular just
Yeah, there's
because
some.
of the game.
I remember
Was,
that happening.
was
It's
it cheese? Something about cheese or something like
yeah, cheese
unexpected?
bread, some kind of like Chinese
Yeah,
cheese bread of some kind. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I remember that. So it's good. I mean, it's interesting because we discuss also with brands that are active in FMCG. So just like snacks or drinks, and it's interesting or your placement in a game can have an impact on maybe on just the consumption in real world. You You know, you remember in PUBG, in the first version of PUBG, you had the energy drink which looked like a Red Bull, but it was not branded Red Bull. It was not partnered with Red
Yeah,
Bull.
that's right.
Everybody saw the Red Bull there, and I don't know. I'm surprised you don't have more like official Coca-Cola drinks, for example, in some games.
I
Usually, you can
think
see the
some
shade.
games some games are built for it and some games aren't, right? Like a
Yeah,
good example is Death Stranding, right, with the Monster Energy drink thing.
yeah,
They get to do that because Kojima has already established that he's out of his mind. Uh,
yeah.
like it's fine, like no matter what you're going to do, you're always going to have Kojima. But there's a lot of other games that I think it would be pretty jarring inside of.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the product placement is can always be perceived negatively, but when it's not like shoveled through the player mouth, I think it's fine. We saw some watch product placement in the past. There are things that make sense as long as they are just natural element of the gameplay.
Well, I think there's two ways of going about it, right? Not to make this a whole like product placement podcast, but I think it's an interesting thing. There's one which is to make it natural, like you said, like the Watcher was something just like this is a clear part of the game. Cars are a really good way of doing that as well. And then there's the other one, the Kojima cup noodles style, which I think is to make it unnatural. And to just kind of make it so authentically unnatural, I think might be the
Yeah,
term, that people are fine with it. They're like, we're doing our product placement now. Check it out. Another Kojima thing, I think like in the opening credits, if not the opening credits, then like the beginning of the main gameplay section in Metal Gear Solid 5, like the enemy like puts on some Oakleys and it freezes on them and says Oakley or something along those lines. And so they just make it so clearly separated from the game and so obvious that it kind of wraps back around to being authentic. Easier for Asian media in general, I think, to do this than Western media.
hear me out. Why do player want to have car brands, official car brands in their game, but they are upset if you have official food brands or other product brands, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
An
so interesting.
interesting one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, what is that? I mean, cars are aspirational for one thing.
Yeah,
So, someone who wants to drive a Lamborghini in Forza is not going to drive a Lamborghini. Statistically, no one is ever going to drive a Lamborghini. And
yeah.
so this gives you an opportunity to interact with aspirational things. I think that's a big part of it, as well as interact with them in a way that even those that actually do get to drive Lamborghinis are not
Mhm.
going to get to drive them in the manner in which you get to drive them in Forza.
Yeah, and in the same way you have weapons. In some case, there would be real life weapons. In some case, they wouldn't. So I think there is maybe this element of realism. If your game is about driving cars, you're more likely to expect the real brand and to be as close as possible to reality. While it's just an accessory, like a transportation tool, then it might be less relevant. I think for many years, people would kind of hoping that GTA would have real cars, maybe in the game,
You
but
can't
that
do
would break everything in a way.
yeah
Then everything would need to be branded could be
yeah because
branded.
they've built a whole world, and the entire point of this world is that it is a lot like our world, but it's a ridiculous version of it. And so
Yeah, exactly.
connecting it to the real world becomes
And
super super problematic.
and sometimes some games they actually make a point into making fun of existing brands. That's
Yeah,
also
exactly.
almost part of the branding to be yeah, sarcastic about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sorry for the distraction. I think it's good. I think I write something. I write something right after this call and
All
post
right,
something on
exciting.
LinkedIn because it's
I'm,
super
I'm
interesting. Yeah,
looking forward to it.
yeah.
Yeah, on my side, I haven't really been playing all that much. Well, I have been playing a ton. I haven't been playing anything that I will be talking about in a public forum, which is good. Always good to be busy. I would say the only thing I've been playing is I played this Clash of Clans style game called Dominations, which I've been playing for like 15 years now. With like a good solid, I don't know, 10-year break in there. But I finally hit the Dynasty League, so I'm feeling really good about that. But that's all I got for us. Let's move on to the news. Let's talk about that. Let's see. I think the one of the big highlights we've got this week is Mugenics.
Yeah.
Tell us about this.
So it's the new game from for Edmund Macmillan, which is the guy behind um, Binding of Isaac, the Binding of Isaac mostly. I don't think it's behind the other one. Now, because we mentioned Super Meat Boy, but Super Meat Boy, I think it's different.
I was not wrong about that. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's really the guy behind the Binding of Isaac, a massive success
Yeah,
as an indie game, and now this one has been released. They claim they've recouped their development cost in like 3 hours or something.
I'm sure. I'm sure. There's a great LinkedIn post I saw. What was it talking about? I think it was talking about Silk Song. And they're like,
Yeah,
the key to releasing a successful game in 2026 is to have released a successful game in 2016. And, and that's it.
yeah. It
Yeah.
took a long time to finish. I think it's there. I've played a little bit, so it's basically a turn-by-turn strategy game. It's a bit like XCOM. Let's put it that way. It's
Hmm.
XCOM with a different skin, with different mechanics. It's this. There is this tone which is very, I don't know, too morbid maybe.
It looks morbid from this trailer.
Yeah,
Definitely. I just
yeah,
saw
yeah,
the sewn up cat. And
yeah.
yeah,
And you see how you create new cats, right? It's
yeah,
very
exactly.
explicit.
Yeah,
Uh,
traditional method of new cat creation.
there's a lot of poo also and
Yeah.
things like
Yeah, which
that.
is very, that's definitely the Binding of Isaac
Yeah,
brand.
that feels like also, I don't know, there is some feeling of South Park in the way they are animated, with the heads moving.
Yeah, and it's
I've
very,
not played enough to assess the depth of the game, but apparently people that have been playtesting the game for many years, they really feel like it's an amazing game in that genre.
hmm.
I think, yeah. The only thing is, what is interesting is being released at I think $30 or €30, which is not the €20 or the $20 of Silksong.
No, that, in the like, well, who wrote about that recently? Someone wrote about recently about like these kind of bars that you clear, and then you're in a different pricing zone, and like the psychological thing. That's definitely a different one.
I think that it might be detrimental to the early adoption because 20 is not 30. I mean, that's my personal point of view. 20 is a no-brainer, and 30 is already, well, let me try the game or assess the quality. Of course, they release with a 10% discount, like most indie games do right now at launch. So it's actually 26 or 27. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, you always wonder, could this game be more successful if it was released at $20? And would Silksong be as successful if it was released at $30?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I think that the for me, one of the major things that affects pricing is always just visuals.
Yeah,
When people look at it, the store does it look like a $10 game? Does it look like a $30 game?
yeah,
And obviously, this is like from a development perspective, super reductive because you can put a lot of effort into a thing that looks lo-fi, and we can put less effort, but still, that's how people see it. And I think that Mugenics definitely signals itself as a lower cost game.
yeah,
Yeah, and Silksong, I don't know. Silksong signals itself as a slightly more polished product. Plus, I mean,
yeah,
obviously, it's always silly to like discuss anything relating to Silksong because, like, what is it's Silksong? Sometimes it's like Zelda or the iPhone. Like sometimes things just kind of break out into their own category and they become less relevant in other situations.
yeah. In terms of awareness, the thing is, you might not expect a turn-by-turn strategy game from that guy who's been doing more of I mean, Binding of Isaac is it's not a platformer, but it's really completely different type of game. So, are the typical audience for that type of game even aware that a potential very great game in that genre has been released, but it's hidden by the fact that the author is not known for that kind of games?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah, and those games are less. You need to make the case for them a little more. Not there are fewer people that are going to have played one of those before, as opposed to something like a Metroidvania. Even if
Mhm.
you haven't played something specifically like that, it's pretty legible, right? It's a
Yeah,
side-scrolling thing where you fight stuff, and
yeah.
so it's very even if the game itself is not approachable to new players
Mhm.
conceptually. Yeah, it's interesting.
So
Okay.
let's see. Good numbers on Steam at launch, like 80,000 concurrent player. But you see how far it is from Silksong because I personally had never heard of that game before,
Yeah,
unlike Silksong, you know.
yeah. I mean,
So
like I'd obviously heard of the Binding of Isaac, but I was not aware he was working on something new until it came out. Yeah. All right, let's talk about 2XKO from Riot
yeah.
Games. What do we got going on here?
Well, the game was released a few weeks ago, and it's almost instantly Riot is plug, plugging the plug now. Or do you say plugging the plug?
Yeah, pulling the
And
plug. Yeah,
yeah, pulling the plug. Yes, not
yeah,
completely, but they made it very clear that it didn't meet their expectations. And is the problem the audience? Are the expectations the issue? It's I mean, these are the characters of League of Legends into a fighting game, and fighting game has only so much success, and you can only differentiate so much. So either you bring your League of Legends audience to play a fighting game. That's one thing. That's not easy because League of Legends. I
yeah.
mean, there are so many people that only play League of Legends as
Yeah,
a
and
game.
getting them to play anything else if it's
Yeah,
League of Legends. I would, if I was going to try to expand the audience for something, or not expand the audience, but I was trying to give a League of Legends player something else to play.
yeah,
I would not go for a very precise input specific competitive game.
yeah.
Then they just play League of Legends.
The gameplay is so
Give them a
fun.
farming sim or something like that. Like something that will fill a different gameplay need for them.
Yeah, and then if you're just trying to attract the uh, the the fighting game fans, what does your game offer compared to the 10 different type of game that exists
Yeah, and
in the market, you know?
the answer cannot be League of Legends characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Nobody really. The DA is nice, but yeah, where is the innovation from a fighting standpoint in the
Yeah, and
game?
like it looks
I don't
nice,
know,
but
you know?
lots of fighting games look nice, and like you're competing right with the new Street Fighter, which everyone is talking about, and which did successfully get like what you could think of as lapsed fighting game fans kind of interested in it again, and that's just raising the bar. Like fighting the in fighting games, like it's hard overall
Yeah,
because it is a limited audience,
yeah,
and any increased competition is just going to make that even harder.
yeah. And I so that's one thing. There is another. There are two news linked to that. One is the team, the studio of Highguard has also announced massive layoff.
Yeah,
It felt like there was no safety net. They needed to be successful at launch to to be sustainable. And as the player, they tried and then they quickly churned. It doesn't look. It's not looking good at this point.
it's
It
not.
doesn't exclude that some heroes or some ideas or some gameplay things might be recycled in other games. I'm sure that will happen because there were some good ideas and some like interesting special powers from heroes and things like that. But the game as such feels like it's already game over.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, I think it's funny because I wrote recently about like the idea that maybe this is fine, that maybe they were prepared for this, but clearly they were not prepared for this. They needed higher engagement to justify any of this, which just sucks. I mean, we've been following this game for a few weeks now, right? Because it's not this year's Concord. Nothing's as bad as Concord,
Yeah,
but it's not too much better. And I think so much of this, it's just story about art style, and which like again, I haven't played the game, but clearly so have not a lot of other people. And the art style did not. It communicated that this was sort of an institutional product that looked like other things, and that
yeah,
clearly that people reacted to that the second they saw that at the Game Awards. And I think it's just a really good example of how important that is. Like, I think that there are definitely studios where they
yeah.
like, the mechanical people are the ones that are running the show and everything. But I think this is such a good example of how art can totally sink a game.
Absolutely. I mean,
And
I've been
and
claiming that.
the artist did good work here. But I think just there was it's nascent. It's a nascent thing. It did good work in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I agree. What make you visually different from the others? I think Marvel Rivals was successful because they offer the skins of and the power of Marvel, right? Of the Marvel
Yeah,
characters. So that was a differentiator, even if visually it looks very much like Overwatch, for example. It's very this kind of cell shading, cartoony style that has been around for almost 10 years and seems to be the usual path when you want to do a mass market game. Um,
yeah, yeah.
Arc
Right.
Raiders was successful, I think, because it looks really nice. It's realistic, and the enemies are super interesting. I think I wrote about that. But yeah, that's when it looks like some sort of technological heroic fantasy. We've seen that more and more.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember when Overwatch first came out, and that art style was genuinely like a little. It was interesting. It was this kind of Disney-like, but not Disney thing, and it's just not interesting anymore because that was a while
Yeah,
ago, and that's how it works.
in the same way that Borderlands was very innovative back then when they used cell shading. I think it was new technology. Um, but now it's not going to make a difference. And I'm always a bit worried when I see some of these projects and you cannot instantly identify the game, Like, why is
Yeah.
it looks like Smith. I don't know if you play Smite.
Smite
Um,
is yeah.
and
I
it
I,
looks
don't,
like
I know.
Smite.
Yeah, yeah.
It,
And
it looks
but also like
like
so Smite, Marvel Rivals, right? These things both have like a visual hook. Marvel Rivals is that it is Marvel characters, but they don't look like they usually do,
yeah,
basically. And like again, the point is that you need to look different from everything. You need to look different, distinctive in just like one way, and that
yeah,
is the way. That's cool. And that works. And so then Smite is that it's gods.
yeah,
These are things that people are already familiar with, interpreted again in a different way. So the fact that they would use a sort of visual building blocks that are recognizable to make something else is still okay because you have a way of talking about its visual style and what it's
yeah,
doing that is something, anything. And the problem here is like I don't know what I'm going to say. Like, oh yeah, it's like a combination of fantasy with guns, which is not that's not enough to carry it in the same way.
yeah. No, it's and that's what might save a marathon because, like it or not, at least it's visually distinctive. That's
Yeah,
the
definitely
idea. But yeah, I think I'm getting less and less worried about marathon. I would say.
interesting. I don't I haven't seen anything besides what everyone else has seen. But
Hmm.
yeah, we all hope because Bungie's having trouble, and we hope that it can help with that.
Yeah,
But I think that Marathon so far, from what I've seen, has vibes, right? It has a vibe, and so I think, and maybe that's really what we're talking about here is that people stick around games for mechanics and long term strategies, but people show up to games for vibes. Helldivers 2, great example. That's got a vibe. And you stick around because of the narrative work, because of the upgrade loot, because of the satisfying guns and like call downs and stuff. But you show up for vibes.
yeah. And Apex Legends worked because it was kind of a teenager or an adult version of a battle royale back then, compared to the graphics of Fortnite or PUBG. PUBG was super realistic. Fortnite was super cartoony, and then Apex was kind of in the middle, maybe closer to a fantasy Call of Duty or to Titanfall. I think that helped too, and the character design was really great. They really had their own personality, storyline, background, and that helped a lot. And also, I think only eight characters at the launch of Apex Legends.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if you come and you already have like 20 or so many, you also lose the audience because you don't have time to get familiar with all the.
yeah. And then also where you go from there. Like if you have
Mhm.
8 characters and you release a new character, it's very exciting. Which is not the case if you have 20 characters. Yeah, well, too bad for Highguard. I think the fundamental outlook of this podcast is that we like it when games succeed, and we don't like it when they don't. Uh,
Yeah, and
it's
and
too,
I think it's gonna be "I told you so" also from the most critical people. They were like very upset about the game award reveal, and I complain all the time. And it's, "Oh, you see, I told you so that it would fail."
Yeah, but
And
that's like such a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like it failed.
yeah,
It began failing with that, basically.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if would it be under the radar, maybe they would have more time to polish it. But here it was too much, almost too much spotlight. Yeah, so a bit sad. And then the other one is in the news. It's about Horizon Hunters Gathering.
Horizon Hunters got, I need to, I know I was so busy this week, I didn't look at any of the materials about this, because I'm in Amsterdam, right? So
Yeah,
Gorilla is a big presence here. So let's check this out. Hold on, let me pull up a little trailer here.
it's yet another attempt from a successful studio in the single player space to become a successful studio in the co-op or in the multiplayer space.
Yeah,
That's I mean, all bets are off. If you can, I don't know if you can show it a little bit.
yeah. Let's see. Let's get some gameplay going here. This is
Talking about artistic style, art
yeah.
style, you
It's
know.
like, yeah, it is that because I just saw a lot of people on Reddit and elsewhere being complaining about the art style. It looks like Dauntless. It looks like if you took Horizon and turned it into Dauntless.
Yeah, and I felt like I liked Horizon because it felt a bit realistic. It was much closer to Arc Raiders, for example, from a visual standpoint.
Yeah,
And now we're like, okay, it feels like a kids game, and I'm
yeah, and
completely
it's also just like
out of it.
why I don't get what you gain by changing the art style in this game.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, 'cause it's not going to become more mass market. I don't think that's really going to
mhm,
happen. Yeah,
yeah,
wow, funny. Look at Alloy there, crazy.
it's like a
Very
Fortnite skin of her.
Yeah, this does not seem to me to be the way to go with this. It seems like it just takes. I mean, it's not like Horizon has the most distinctive art style for its human characters overall, but it does for its robots. And it's just sort of you just took an iron to it. You just smoothed it out a little bit.
Yeah,
And yeah, and I mean, one of the reasons you have art styles like this is, as we're seeing now, you get distinctive silhouettes for your various hero characters,
uh,
but also like who cares? You can do that other ways. Yeah, this is. I'm not. I'm disappointed that it looks like this.
yeah. This is not engaged, and I think that's a bit the feedback I read. Even if we don't want
Yeah,
to assume it will not work, but it feels like what's the audience for that?
yeah. I
Because
mean,
there are,
yeah. It feels like this is an art style that was developed either by directive or by overall nudging by Sony, like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer.
mhm,
Uh,
yeah,
and by the time it's now coming out, it's no longer hitting in the way that they would have hoped it would
yeah,
have.
yeah. And then there's just the concept that can you bring your single player audience into a co-op game? Or do you have to get your audience from the Monster Hunter? It's the Monster Hunter type of game.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really liked Dauntless. I played that game for like, I don't know, 10, 15 hours, which is a decent amount for, a game that I wasn't like a major player of. That game was cool. I liked the idea of Monster Hunter gameplay that was more, just a little less involved. I can just show up and
Mhm.
click and I can go do something.
Yeah,
And theoretically, I mean, I guess we should say we don't know what the hunter game, what the actual gameplay is here. They talked about some, I think.
oh yeah, it feels like you are crafting. I don't know if there is a survival element in there. There's certainly a Monster Hunter type of content. So maybe they feel like, okay, if we are going against the Monster Hunter audience, we need to be cartoony.
Yeah,
Maybe
interesting.
that's the
Which
idea.
I think because Monster Hunter is not cartoony, so you want to do something else. But like,
Yeah,
I do also worry about some of the fundamental parts of Horizon combat because to me, one of the things that's most satisfying there is like if you hit a weak spot, if you hit an armor piece in the right way, you'll just knock it right off. And if you've got 5 people firing at one giant thing, you might not be able to have that same level of sort of specific responsive tactility that you might need to hit it 5 times to knock it off. And then it will be just a little less like that you're going to lose some of that immediacy.
I think that's all. I'm just checking. I'm just asking my personal assistant if there have been so many like video game IPs that ended up being very successful in a different genre, or if you are kind of stuck once you start.
I mean, what's interesting, it's not an IP. Guerrilla made the transition, right? They made the transition from first person shooter to open
Yeah,
world adventure,
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
very successfully.
Halo. So Halo went to. They did Halo Wars.
Yeah,
So
we should fine.
yeah.
But like, I think the question would be something that became bigger than its original incarnation.
Mhm.
Mario.
Persona. They have a fighting game. They have a rhythm game.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think you'll find older like Mario, right?
Yeah,
Mario
Mario.
Kart.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
And I
Mario.
think I know you're the data guy, but I wonder if Mario Kart is the most successful iterated version of Mario. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that
I think the reason for that is because of the multiplayer element,
yeah.
and there is no ending to Mario Kart. You can always play it. While if you play like a story-driven Mario, you finished it. Other IPs, you have Yakuza, like a dragon, was a beat 'em action, and it went to turn-based RPG.
Yeah, but that's just a different kind of RPG. I'm not going to call it a different genre.
Yeah, no, I
Mechanically,
see
it's
what you
probably
mean.
the same.
I remember also Gears of War. They tried Gears of War Tactics,
Yeah, that
and it
tactical
was a
thing was
good game.
cool. I like
But
that. Ooh, that reminds me, the XCOM thing, that was terrible. That was so bad.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But there is a
XCOM
challenge. There is
Hero.
always a challenge.
Yeah.
All
Someone's
right.
got to have done it. Arguably Metroid. That the transition to a first person shooter, I think, does constitute
Mhm.
a different genre. And it did that very successfully with Metroid Prime. But again,
Oh,
we're talking about older things now, and the concept of an IP is really different back.
yeah, we had Arcane. They went from Dishonored to Redfall, and it did
Yeah. I mean, we've seen so many
fail.
well-known
Yeah.
single-player studios. Rocksteady did the same thing. BioWare.
Oh, yeah.
There's no shortage of these studios that have burnt their goodwill, move into live service. Speaking as a member, a citizen of the Randstad, which is like the general urban area that contains Amsterdam. I hope that doesn't
Yeah.
happen here.
Yeah. Interesting topic for sure. Because I mean, at some point when you're a studio and you feel like you've kind of milked your own IP or your own game, where do you go next? And that's the challenge because
Well, yeah, and
you
the
feel like you
question,
have something that's worth expanding somehow.
yeah, I mean the Horizon IP. I've always been interested to see the level of commitment that we've seen to it. They're making a show. They made these Lego sets. They made the Lego game. It seems like there's doing a lot more with the Horizon IP than it might necessarily,
Hmm. Yeah,
because it's cool. Everyone likes robot dinosaurs, but it's no God of War, right? It's no Last
yeah,
of Us. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
All right. What else we got? One more topic here, maybe. It's a
Yeah.
shorter week, definitely.
Um, good start from Nayo. Also,
Yeah, I'm
good
excited.
reviews. Good start.
Yeah, that's so we've got highest Steam concurrent player count, which doesn't really say too much because this is the first time it has released. But everyone seems to be happy with this so far. So that's good. Oh wait, we didn't do our Steam DB thing. Let's do that.
Yeah, but
Let's
I checked before. That's why I started with Mugenics, but we can have a quick look. It's a bit boring this week, to be fair.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no problem. Sorry, we won't say much about Steam DB outside of Mugenics and Neo 3, but
Yeah, I think what's important is that the rise of Overwatch. Huh? So Overwatch 2 rebranded to Overwatch, and they had like the peak concurrent player, they highest ever on Steam, which is also fine because the first Overwatch was not released on Steam at launch.
Mhm.
So it was a Battle.net game. They only put Overwatch 2 at some point in the life cycle, and now they've beat their record. And it seems that there is a big transfer between Marvel Rivals and Overwatch. Overwatch actually higher in terms of concurrent player than Marvel Rivals.
Okay, cool. I mean, it'd be cool to see Overwatch make
Come back.
some kind of
Yeah.
comeback because I mean, the Overwatch 2 transition clearly just took, what's the Reinhardt? He's got the big hammer. It took a Reinhardt hammer right to it.
Yeah.
Well, not that it was doing great before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be cool to see that happen again. I've always been so interested by the way that like Overwatch became like the center of like esports for a hot second, and they want it so bad,
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah, that's true.
I
I
can't-
think a lot of money was lost there, and not
yeah,
only by Blizzard.
yeah, no, by lots of people that bought teams and all that kind of crap. I think that the fundamental problem with a esport like Overwatch in particular. Obviously League of Legends is making it happen, but for me, the good thing about sports is you've got these emotional connections and stories and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the story that you want to tell is primarily about like the players and the teams and their kind of redemption narratives and rivalries and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
This is why we come to sports.
Yeah.
But the problem is with a lot of esports like this is that these are in development products with new characters being added and balance changes happening all the time.
Yeah.
And so like if I were to go to like uh football tomorrow and say now there's two balls, everyone would be talking about that. That would be the major news. You wouldn't be talking about the personal stories, you wouldn't be talking about the rivalries, you'd be talking about these big rule changes. And that's the problem with these esports is that when you are changing the game that you're playing so frequently, that becomes the main topic of conversation, and it means that you
Mhm.
can't focus on these ultimately more emotionally engaging stories. Yeah, I wonder. I mean, League of Legends has clearly done well with it, and so I'd be interested to look more into how they've been able to manage that. Maybe it's
Yeah.
that. Maybe a big part of it
Mhm.
would be that. Well, no, those are teams. StarCraft is 1v1, so you can focus on people a little more, and that's helpful. Yeah, no,
That's. I think
I'm curious.
StarCraft is an outlier when it comes
Yeah,
to
well, and it's a legacy, right? StarCraft
yeah.
is sort of the original esport, and you're always
Yeah.
a legacy there.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm very interested why this because I do think that's an important part of the problem of a lot of esports, and I'm interested why that problem has not impacted League of Legends in the same way. I mean, it's just more legible overall. Maybe they do have a better strategy but I've definitely read major balance changes that are huge news stories with League of Legends. Hard to say. All right, we're coming up on 40 minutes. Is there anything else that we feel we must talk about here?
There is an interesting article from Martin Wolfi.
Oh yeah, that's right. Martin, and my apologies to Martin Wolfich, something along those lines.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a good take on the ground is shaking in the sense that there is no stability in the market anymore, and I think we all experience that. It's like nothing is written in stone. You
yeah,
unpredictable successes. You cannot just have anymore the implication like more marketing money means more success, or bigger teams means more success. It doesn't work like that anymore. I think everything was a bit shaked up by the COVID
mhm.
era for sure. But
Well,
we see many
COVID like
things.
activated like these. There are a lot of these long-term narratives, right? That like little games can now, digital distribution means that little games can compete directly with big games.
Yeah,
Middleware means that smaller teams can make cooler looking games.
yeah,
Price points changing, all that. These are all long-term narratives
hmm,
that sort of COVID forced them all to a head.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, exactly.
that's what happened.
Uh, and as as an industry professional, it feels very uncomfortable, I would say, because you don't have your anchor anymore. Like, okay, these games they always are successful, and these one are not So I can understand, the discomfort from people within the industry. And there's also always every week more news about layoffs and restructure.
Yeah, I think
So
I think
it
Martin.
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Martin wrote previously about how sort of we're moving to this wide pyramid model that's more like that we have bands more than we have giant studios, and people follow them, and people are like indies will pop up and that kind of thing. And that's like
Yeah.
the structural focus of the game industry is going to have to totally change, because the idea of something like an Activision that like owns a big studio,
Yeah.
and that studio makes a game, and Activision markets the game, and everyone buys it. It's just not a good way of doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Like those big shops are there basically to tend extant powerful IP. Uh,
Mhm.
but as far when it comes to launching new stuff, they have no advantage.
Yeah, there's this just what's happening with the AAA publisher. Either they are being part of bigger entities like
Saudi
Activision
Arabia.
Blizzard, or they become private and they have different priorities, or they have their internal issues. So the big publisher are way more weak, are much weaker than before. And again, these are kind of things that were given for so long that have now disappeared. There's much more uncertainty in the marketing.
Yeah, and it's not just games. The world is incredibly uncertain right now. Like I have a software developer friend that's like I don't he's like in his 50s,
Yeah.
been at it a long time, and he's like I don't have a single friend that has any clue what's happening next.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it feels like we didn't realize the world was much more predictable in 2018, probably
Yeah, because
before
it
the
seemed
COVID.
insane at that time. It seemed like it was moving so quickly and changing and everything. This is, I mean, I don't know, I think a lot about how like we grew up in this era of like Pax Americana,
Yeah.
like unprecedented
Global.
stability in the Western world, not in a lot of other parts of the world, clearly. And like that's not like the norm,
Yeah, we
most
are not used to that. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
like most people throughout history, like if you like go out to if you go out to like get some stuff from a nearby village and you come back and everyone you know is dead and your farm is burned down, you're like, well, hmm, that'll happen.
And I think every generation can probably claim the fact that they've known a different eras, and we are at our age in the middle, because we come from. I mean, I come from a generation where there wasn't even any mobile phones, and we've seen that happening. We've seen everything becoming electronic, online now, and it feels that it's a different one. While the kids of today, my kids, they are a bit above 10 year old, they might be more used to that. They might feel like this uncertainty is the norm,
Yeah,
and
no,
they might
exactly.
find it boring the day nothing changes.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
till it does. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for me, so I'm 39. I think I remember I got America Online, or my first access to the internet, when I was like 10.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I think like I'm right at the cutoff of someone that does remember life without the internet.
Yeah.
And like, when you had America Online, it wasn't like you were Googling game guides, right? It was still pretty limited. So it wasn't until I was in high school that the internet was becoming more and more of like a regular part of life. The AOL Instant Messenger, that was sort of the first social network, and that we started using that when we were like 13 or so, basically.
Yeah. I was 18 at university in 1994 when we had Netscape and Netscape. We had Yahoo back then. Yeah, I remember downloading the first trailer of the Phantom Menace in 1996. Took 3 hours. Took
That
three
trailer,
hours.
you will
Yeah,
never see a cultural moment like the release of that trailer again. My
I
God.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Nothing will ever beat that one. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we
Yeah, we've moved on. All right. That is the games industry executive summary for the week. Thank you all for joining us this far. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, all those things that we would like to do to raise our numbers ever higher. Because who are we in this life if not people with slightly higher numbers than we had before?
By the way, your name is Casey in the.
Yeah, I've changed my name to Casey for the duration of the hour, I believe.
Okay, okay, good. All
Yeah,
right.
don't be confused, people. I may sound like Casey, I may look like Casey, but I'm not Casey.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. All
Thanks a
right.
lot.
Thanks for
Have a good
joining
week.
us. Have a good week.